to talk about how to get on there.
Hey, Dean, how are you doing today?
Hey, Rob, I'm doing well. So
we're going to talk Apple Maps. We're going to talk about ranking. We're going to talk about how to get your business onto each of these networks. We're going to talk about how you can be able to grow your business and how you check to see what your rankings are. So yesterday you got all.
This is really a big question for a lot of members.
Well, it is. You got really confused yesterday. So you were checking rankings for someone, and you got confused and got lost inside of what I was looking for, and I was looking for native rankings.
Right, and I think a lot of people get hung up on certain procedures, certain processes. So this is going to be really good to cover this for right now.
So the first thing you want to do is you want to start in an incognito mode. So if you're using Edge, you're going to right-click on Edge. You'll go in private mode. If you're using Chrome, you'll right-click on it and go new incognito window.
So what's the importance of doing that, Rob? The
reason why you're going to do that is because you want to not have your browsing history. You're still going to have browsing history attached to you because your IP address and search engines know what you've been searching for. So that's still going to be in there, but it kind of cleans out all your cookies, all your pre-saved things. It logs you out, or it should log you out if you're logged into Google, because all that's going to change. A lot of business owners go and they search themselves and they're logged into the networks that they're doing it. And it can mess them up. It's kind of like it skews those entire ranking pieces.
It's going to give you a feel of what a person who's never searched your business is going to look like.
Yeah, it's closer to that.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
So we're going to start with Apple Maps.
Okay.
Apple Maps has a new beta program that's out for how you can search for all of their things inside of here. So how you can search Apple Maps from any device, not have to be on an iOS or an Apple device to do it. You can go to beta.maps.apple.com to access this. Anybody can get onto it. If your business is not on here, there's a couple options you can have. Apple's part of our 1,000 networks that we work with inside of our listings engine. Or you can create an Apple Business Connect, which a lot of business owners get really hung up on Apple Business Connect because it's really confusing. And some important pieces when you're trying to rank inside of Apple, make sure that you have an address in there. Make sure, because if you hide your address, chances of showing up in Apple, they might accept your information, but the chances of ranking inside of there are going to be slim to none. And make sure you have your longitude and latitude numbers inside of the profile if you're using Simply Be Found.
So
two of the big things that get forgotten.
So let's just talk about maps for a second. If you don't have a physical pin, if you're just a service area, are you going to show up?
They don't have service area.
They don't have a service area at all. So nope. You have to, if you're a service area company, you have to put some kind of a location in there.
You're going to have to have an address in there. You can't have a hidden address and rank in here from what I can tell. And I was playing around with this morning, kind of looking to see if they've made any changes for that. So like if I say roofing contractors near me,
this is our favorite.
It's automatically going to pull up. I mean, it's an easy one to be able to talk about, right. And it's one that would use service. It's one that would use service area a lot. But if you look at every single one of these, for one, it thinks I'm in LA right this second, and I'm not sure why.
I was going to say, what's Downey up there on the map there? Did you notice?
I don't know why. That really confused me. I'm like, all right, well,
there you go. We got the town Downey, maybe. I don't know what the heck.
Yeah, there's a town in California that's called Downey. It's actually the very first place, I believe, if my history is correct, being the last name Downey. Downey was the very first town that McDonald's was ever in.
Oh wow! There you go. There's trivia for you. So
someone will correct me on that if I'm wrong. I guarantee it.
Yeah,
so, for example, if you're searching for roofing and you're looking at it, so Apple still pulls a lot of information from Yelp. From what I'm hearing in the pipeline is they're going to be getting away from Yelp and they're going to be really focused on their own review system that's coming out. I'm seeing it inside of the new iOS betas, but they have not fully pushed out Yelp as of this point. But if you notice inside of here, all the ratings are in there. Now, the problem with Apple is their whole entire maps for how business information is shared is still inside of what I call baby phases. It's not 100% there yet. because it's pretty new for them being able to accept their own businesses. There's a lot of changes happening in there because, I mean, the very first one you're ranking at is 4.0. Then you have a 1.5. That normally wouldn't happen in most search algorithms. I don't know the reason why. I don't know what information it thinks I have in here for what I'm ranking on, but you want to see where you rank at inside of this piece. I can't tell you what these keywords are for any of these listings or any of those things, so I really don't know those details.
So there's other things that go into this ranking process for being seen besides
right.
Just
so your big thing that you have to worry about right now with Apple is that you're inside of there. So you want to make sure your business is in there. So when you come up here to the search bar, you can literally type in what your business name is, and you can see if you have a location. Can I pick on your other business?
Sure, let's go for it.
Or should I pick on Simply Be Found?
Let's pick on Simply Be Found.
All right, let's pick on Simply Be Found.
That way we're not self-promoting myself, if you will. But we're self-promoting ourselves anyway.
Well, it still thinks I'm inside of California, and there's nothing that's for Simply Be Found inside of here, which is kind of an interesting piece. So
that's really weird how it went to Simply Be Found.
Let's see if it can find us. There we are, right by the lake.
There we are, right by the lake there.
So it has our pin correctly. Information is in here. I noticed some things to optimize and do possibly in here. I mean, we have 2 ratings for 100%, and those are actually ratings that are 100% inside of the Google or inside of the Apple Maps piece. We don't have any ratings inside of Yelp that I'm aware of. So that's going to be in there. It's going to have our phone number. It's going to have so if I hit call, what happens on desktop? Nothing. It shows the phone number down here for us and shows our website. So that's kind of the interesting piece that's in here. Now I have a prediction for what I want to see a lot of people try. And I think that they need to take their actual, you know how you list on the bottom of your website, your Facebook, all your social media networks? I think you need to start listing off your Google business profile and your Apple Maps listings as well down on the footer of websites. We're going to start that test rolling out. We talked to I was talking to the data team this morning. That was something we talked about for doing some major testing on. So if you're going to do that, you'd literally just copy this whole entire address right here and create a link on your website for it.
Okay, so you'd submit that to your web designer, or if you're doing it yourself, you need to put something in there. So
there's not a lot to be able to test to make sure that you're ranking good inside of Apple. When I played around with it, there wasn't very much inside of there to say, hey, this is how you're going to see where your rankings are. Your most important thing is, are you inside of Apple Maps? I don't think their ranking system works really well yet for how it's doing some stuff. I think it's still, like I said, inside of those baby stages, but make sure your listing's in here and make sure your business information is right.
Okay, perfect.
So a lot of people don't even know how to check and see if they're inside of Apple, and that's a big question we get a lot of the times.
Right. So how important is your pin being in the right location? That's a big deal, isn't it?
It is, but I don't know how you would move it inside of here.
Okay, so we don't know how to do that on this particular platform.
I mean, we'd have to send a request in over to them, but right now, as far as I'm aware, I'll check with the data team, but I don't think we can move pins like we can inside of Google.
Okay.
I think that's a Google only thing to be able to move your pin.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've never seen it in the back end of theirs. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much right where it is. But if you don't have your business on here, like I said, you can come down here to the manage your business and be able to create an Apple business account. If you have a Simply Be Found account, we do go out to Apple. Do not try to do both at the very beginning at the same time. You will mess yourself up and you will get into a loop that is hard to be able to get you out of if you try to register in multiple spots at once.
Okay. That's a good point to know.
So that's kind of how Apple works. Google. So if we do, I'm going to pick on the roofing industry again. So if I go roofer near me, inside of here, you have 2 different options. And people might have already selected this. The use precise location. It's going to try to identify right where I am, because these results are going to really depend on where the location is. That's a big factor to how you're ranking inside of Google.
Gotcha. So is this based on your IP address of your computer? Like if you're on a provider that's showing you're in Denver, Colorado, we're trying to show Greeley, Colorado. If you're showing in Denver and you say use precise location, you might get results in Denver then.
Might use your IP address, or if you're on a device that has a GPS, it will use the GPS location.
Okay. That's always important because some people get messed up a little bit on that. They go, I did a search and I ended up somewhere else, and then we get support tickets in. I'm not being found, kind of thing. So that's an important piece to bring out.
Right. So I'm going to say not now. So I'm going to go off of my IP address because I don't want to share my exact location of where I am. I'm at home right now. I don't feel like having people show up at my front door. I've had that happen before. So you got a few things for roofers for how ranking happens. So you have sponsored. These are Google guaranteed. This means that they're part of the Google Guaranteed program, which is part of Google Ads. Then you have organic listings right here. So these three would be organic for the location we're in right this second. And then below, and this is your Google business profiles that are optimized to be able to come into the organics. This is your Google business profile organic section. Then you have websites, which start right here. So
when you say websites, you're saying like Yelp is a website, or is that
Yelp is a website? Your website is a website. I mean, any website whatsoever. These are
the reason why I'm bringing that up is some people get confused looking, what they're looking at there. And
yep. So this is where you got confused yesterday inside of this piece because you didn't know the difference between it bounced you around and it got really super confusing.
Right. Well, the Google piece is okay. It's the website ranking that messed me up a little bit on how you're looking at that,
Right. So inside of here, you have a couple different pieces that are in here. You also have the people also ask. So what that is that's going to be it's kind of like the AI overview in a way, but it's not. There's a AI piece that's inside of Google, and I'll show that to you here in just a second. But this part is going to be your AEO. So if you listen to any of our videos, I talk about AEO marketing or AEO SEO all the time, which is answer engine optimization. These right here are going to be questions people have asked. So if I click on one of these, it's going to pull it from what website it has cited as a source and what prices are out there. Gotcha. That's all inside of there. So you have
scroll up a little bit, Rob, your image is over the top of that a little bit. So you scroll up just a little bit on that screen. There you go. Perfect.
So if I pull that down, it's right there. So that's going to be questions that have been asked by real Google people and what it's users. And that's what it's getting for answers that it thinks is the best answer. If you have the right information inside of your FAQ, you're going to start coming up inside of those if you do any of your AEO marketing. And if you're not, talk to your marketing coach. We can help you be able to improve that and get that to where it is, to where you're ranking for that.
So when you say FAQ, you're talking about on your website, your frequently asked questions on your website, right?
Correct. Or inside of your Google business profile.
Right. The questions and answers piece, you can enter that there as well.
Correct. And then you can match the two of those together and make them talk. So these are going to be organic listings. Yelp is coming up at the very top for the organic for this, which I think is kind of BS in a lot of ways that they come up inside of there, but they have a lot of roofing companies and they don't even have to pay for that spot. So that's where they're ranking. They're going to be really hard for any roofer to ever compete against because they have so much information. But this would be an organic listing. This Better Business Bureau would be organic. Slaughter would be organic. And it kind of works its way down for what's inside of the organic piece. Again, you have some more AEO in here for people also ask. So
there's some private companies that are ranking higher than some of the other.
Yep.
What would you say? What do you like the Better Business, like organizations like Better Business Bureau or something like that?
It's why I say that you should focus not just your reviews when you're doing review management, why you don't just focus your reviews in one spot. So a lot of people want to focus just on Google, but when you spread that out to the Better Business Bureau, you put it on Yelp, you spread it out to Facebook, all those, even those little tiny sites, you have a high chance, because reviews have such a high ranking inside of them, you can actually pop up multiple times inside of page one results if you have that stacked up right. Now, roofing is very competitive and very hard to be able to rank for as far as some of that stuff. So, but it depends on what industry and depends on where you're at. So
Gotcha.
let's look at how somebody would do a search inside of here to be able to find a roofer. So I totally cannot type when I am on. All right. So this might or might not be something someone ever searched. My roof is leaking, how to fix it. So I'm going to use that. It would be something that would happen inside of voice search kind of in there for someone doing an actual voice piece. But right now we're not talking voice search. Again, inside of this here, since it's a question asked, you have your Google guaranteed programs up here, which is going to be Google Ads. Then you also have Google Ads right here for sponsored. Okay. Another sponsored here. And then you have what's called AI overview. Have you seen this yet, Dean?
I've seen it. I really have not deep dived in how that works.
So inside of this section, you want to be able to figure out how you're going to get yourself to rank inside of there. Because when someone says show more, it'll literally say where it got its results from. It'll pick up videos from YouTube. It'll pick up all the different information. So you can also come up here for everywhere it got its, basically these are its citations. So for example, if I go voice search registration and I go show more, it citates simply be found right here.
Right. So
here, and here. So I mean, we dominate that whole piece for that.
Gotcha. So that's an important piece for small business to make sure that they're putting the information out, the content that would be that ranking process.
Well, that's also where a lot of businesses are really struggling right now because they're not getting as much website traffic. We're seeing this in different demographics, which is kind of interesting when we look at it from a data side. But a lot of this happens to be to where Google's keeping them more inside of here because if you got your answer here, chances of you going to that website are pretty slim to none.
I got you. So if you can get yourself into this section, that's huge.
It's absolutely huge. It's because then they look at you as a trusted source. If Google is willing to come in and put it in here, that's absolutely a huge piece. So then you have your other piece of, say, Bing, which, by the way, a lot of people who Bing you will tell you that they're Googling you because they don't know the difference between their browser, the search engine, and that guy right there. I think I pointed the right direction.
Yeah, you did.
That guy right there, it gets that wrong all the time. So now if I come and I do that same,
but we ought to bring up a point though that if you have a computer that's made by Microsoft, chances are you're going to be using Bing. Microsoft Edge.
Unless you put Chrome on yourself, and a lot of computers now tell you that that's a security risk to be able to do, and you have to give it certain permissions.
Right, exactly. So when people are doing that, they may not be giving you exactly where they're finding you from, and that's hard to track if you're verbally asking somebody, "How did you find my business? How did you?"
Well, I mean, Googling has became the new Kleenex. If I'm using my great value, I didn't bring them down.
Yeah. No, I've got one here. So we got a Kleenex box right here. There we go. Boom, Kleenex box.
What brand is it though?
It's Kleenex.
All right, but if I bought Great Value from Walmart, they're non-name brand. I would still call it a Kleenex when I went and got it. I wouldn't call it.
So the word I think we used the other day was Google has become a verb.
Yeah, I would agree to that.
Yeah.
So when you Bing it or you do a search inside of Bing, your search results are a lot different. So that's why just focusing on Google is hurting a lot of businesses out there because focusing just on one search that's not what's happening anymore.
Right.
So you got Apple, you've got Google, you have Bing, and I'm actually going to get us into some Grok and some Chat GPT possibly on this conversation.
So we're working on desktop. Obviously, is what we're doing. When people are using their mobile devices, what search engines or what search what is typically
It's usually the same.
What's that?
They usually load their browser and they're usually using it, unless they're using voice.
Right. And when we say voice, we mean voice commands to do a search.
So using voice commands, using voice assistants. Voice assistants have changed to where, that whole entire voice search registration piece is huge, because now you're having conversations with your device. Alexa has a brand new system getting ready to come out. You have a lot of pieces that are coming out for how search is changing and how search needs to, how it's revamping and basically growing itself up, because people are using you in a different way. So when you look at Bing to be able to check and see how you're ranking, do different searches up here for how you're searching. So like roofer near me, find out if you're in here. Remember, you can tell if these are ads because they say sponsored on them. Ignore them because that means those are paid for. Come down further. This is going to be your Bing places, which is basically the Bing's version of Google Business Profile. Again, if you're not on there, that is included inside of the listings engine and one of the 1,000 networks we work with. Again, Yelp comes up because they're authoritative. They come up in the very piece. Notice if you look at this, Dean, it follows that whole entire content, authority, and trust piece. That's why we talk about those 3 pillars so much.
Exactly.
Because these have so much authority, they come up. So if you have your business there, it brings that authority to you as well.
Right.
As much as I have that love-hate relationship with Yelp.
Right. Plus, they have a ton of content that goes with that for that as well inside their platform.
Now, here's a very interesting piece to Bing search that I think a lot of people overlook. You know how I push everybody to start with that video, record a video, and then get a transcript from it, write a blog, and then do your social media so that way it's inside of your voice when you're using AI?
Right. Yes.
So
basically produce as much as you can with as little effort as possible.
So YouTube they're almost on the break of being the #1 search engine. Right. It depends on who you ask and what numbers are pulling from, but a lot of searches happen from YouTube. But here's an interesting piece. YouTube is owned by Google. And Google uses YouTube, and you can rank it inside of search with those YouTube videos, especially locally, very easily. And that's a very big area that a lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to, is YouTube for local. And you can use our social media suite to be able to do that. So if you're a member, let us know and we'll help you work through that and come up with a plan. With that being said, Bing also pulls from YouTube.
They're sharing that database, if you will.
So basically, they're doing an API call over to, which is connecting two softwares together. They do use it inside of their search. So all of these are YouTube videos.
Gotcha. So you would recommend, based on that, to get yourself YouTube videos. Do you need a channel, or do you need a channel as a business?
Yeah, you have to have a channel. You cannot get around it not having a channel.
Okay, so that's one of the things that escape people. You have to create a channel for yourself.
Yep. Create a brand channel, and I mean, it's free. So go in and do it. You can post to it through the Simply Be Found social media suite. You can post out to it, and you don't have to have quality. No one's looking for quality professional video on that. You can just record video.
Right. Well, like what we're doing right now.
Correct.
We don't touch anything up. We just go for it. And this gets a lot of value for us content wise for Simply Be Found as well.
It does. So then you're going to be looking for yourself inside of here. So you're going to use a lot of those different searches. Like if I say my roof is leaking, how do I fix it? They have a Copilot answer. That's their version of the AI overview. That's going to be using ChatGPT and pulling up things.
I think they were using Gemini for Google, weren't they? Wasn't that the logo?
Gemini, they call it AI overview. It pulls from the Gemini database. And then Copilot is part of ChatGPT, and it's just Microsoft's version. And then it just has it inside of there. So, I mean, it'll go through, it'll answer it. This one doesn't cite as much, but it usually pulls from a video, from what I can tell on most of the searches. So that's kind of, I mean, it's looking at this natively figuring out where you fit beyond Bing places if you're ranking. Because what happens inside a search for Google and for Bing is when you get onto those 1,000 networks will simply be found. And this is an important piece. When you register and you build up that entire organic piece down at the bottom, I'm going to go to my tree analogy real quick, or our tree analogy. You have that whole entire root base. That's your listings. You have an opportunity over 1,000 different networks to get on. Now, you're not going to get on every single one of them. You have your tree trunk, which is your website, and then you have branches at the top. So the more you are in for that root base, the more authority you're going to bring your website. It should push your website up further inside of search because now you have backlinks and you have authoritative content. So if you're following our blueprint and our content plan, you're going to push your website up natively to be inside of Google and Bing for these searches. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So when we talk about the root structure, the more networks you're going out to with your business information, your name, address, phone number, kind of thing, the more networks, the bigger your root system is going to get, the more stable you got to become, right?
Correct.
So you see people out there say, "Oh, we're going to get you on 6 networks." That's not. I mean, yeah. It's like strong winds. You got to blow over.
It's going to be a horror. It's going to be a horrific process for that if you're relying on it. Right. So that's pushing this in here. Now, if we go to Grok.com, which is Elon Musk's X piece. I think I can get in here. I can without being signed in. You can use an AI tool to be able to come and find your business as well. So if you go roofer near Greeley, Colorado, and people are doing a lot of searches this way now. It'll go out, it'll look for information. You can do the same thing inside of Gemini. You can use ChatGPT. You can use Claude. All of them have it. And I see a lot of searches happening now this way because it'll go through and it's looking for information. So it's relying on that content, that authority, that trust. It's relying on those networks and being able to have the right information on the website. You have to be blogging about the services you do. And the reason for that is I can then say, so I said roofer near Greeley, Colorado. It gave me 1, 2, 3, 4 results.
Right.
So then I can say, I have a roof leak. Who is best to do a repair?
It gave you the same 4. Look at that.
Gave me the same 4. Normally it pulls from different pieces, but that's kind of getting there. Now the question is, if I come into voice search, so if I use an assistant inside of my phone right now, so if I come into ChatGPT, there's a button on here that has it's a black icon. It has some lines in it when you're doing it. I'm using the mobile app on my iPhone. Can you find a roofer near me that can fix a roof leak?
To find a roofer near you, using a service like Angie or Home Advisor. They can connect you with professionals in your area. Additionally, you might want to check reviews to ensure they have a good reputation. If you'd like, I can help you find some recommendations.
Yeah, find some recommendations. I don't want to use Home Advisors or Angie's List. They cost too much. I've never had her do that.
In Greeley, Colorado, you have several options for roofing services. T-Bear Roofing offers free inspections and specializes in insurance claims. Slaughter Roofing, a family-owned business since 1987, serves all of northern Colorado. Independent Roofing Incorporated has over 40 years of experience. Summit Roofing Solutions, LLC, offers both residential and commercial roofing services. Lastly, Soderberg Roofing and Contracting, LLC, has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau.
Which one does best for doing roof repairs? I currently have a roof leaking right now.
For roof repairs in Greeley, Colorado, Slaughter Roofing has a strong reputation with over 30 years of experience and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. CNE Roofing and Exteriors also offers professional services. NoCo Roofing is another well-regarded option.
So it'll go through, and the more I ask questions to it, the deeper it's going to get into it. It's going through, it's scanning those websites, and it's looking at its knowledge bank. So that's where it's going to really rely on the website. It's going to rely on that business data. It's going to rely on your keywords that are put into that business data. There's all that stuff, and that's where that interconnection comes into when you're checking your rankings on stuff like that.
So basically what we're seeing from the AI, they're going and looking more at your website now and less at just on or
Not
not.
necessarily. I mean, it's looking at your website, and it's also looking at your listings.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's all the content then that you're putting out there.
Content. So if you're not putting the content out saying, I do roof repair, I do this, I do this. I mean, it's one of those things to where you have to have all that information in there. That's why it goes back to that same exact piece of starting with that video after if you're a roofer, since we're picking on roofers in this whole thing, if you're a roofer and you finish doing a bid, you should record a video about the bid process. I saw hail damage on this roof on this date, or I saw this to the paint, or whatever your industry is, or I baked a cake solving this wedding problem and they had, no cake for it. Whatever industry you're in, it doesn't have to just be contracting or roofing, but you can put that information into that video and produce that content, create a blog off of it. When you finish the job, you can then update that blog and say, we ended up getting this job. Here's the finished product. Here's before, after. Here's what we all did, blah, blah, blah. Now you get another video off of it, and you talked about how you solved the problem. Now you can take that to the next step. You can ask that person for a review, and then also attach that review to that same exact blog post and say, hey, thanks for the review. Link to it for wherever they left the review at, or if they left it in multiple spots, link to each of them. And that's going to bring a connection and tell everything, hey, look, all this data matches. Because everything inside of all of these systems, for all the algorithms, they're looking for data matches. They're looking for how can this information match up, and how can it help my business?
Gotcha. Okay, so it's complex. It's not just linear. It's not one thing. It's your tone, what you're putting out there on everything, social media.
100%. And this is where it gets really super complicated, and why having a marketing coach in your business is so important.
Exactly.
Even if you're working with a web agency, because we can tell you things that your web agency should be doing for you as a coach and having it inside of there. So if you're not utilizing the service like Simply Be Found for a marketing coach and for all the tools that we offer, you're going to be left behind, because this is some huge stuff. People are searching for you in different ways.
And we've seen this coming on for a while, and it's really accelerated, I think, in the last 6 months.
Well, now that having everything in there is a huge piece.
Exactly.
It's one of those things to where things are moving at a faster speed, and businesses need to stay on top of it. And then it's going to be kept producing content. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to take you tons of time to do it. You can utilize a lot of different things. We talk to contractors, we talk to, pest control companies, we talk to, restaurants that are able to go through and solve these problems and reduce the amount of time they spend doing it, because they're already doing some of the stuff they can turn into data and that they can turn into content. They just had no idea. They didn't look at it that way.
Okay. And that's such a good point, Rob. But the ranking process isn't just going and looking and seeing if you're in the 3-pack of the Google Business Profile or the kind of thing anymore. There's way more to it.
There's a lot more to it. There's a lot of precision that comes to it. There's a lot of different factors that come into play. But making sure, so when you're looking and optimizing your profiles and you're doing it inside of the Simply Be Found listings engine, make sure you do put your latitude and longitude. That does get recognized by all the platforms for the most part. Yeah, and it really helps our data system, because you got to remember that listings engine in the back end is doing so much stuff, doing so much work in there, and it's trying to stack as much as it possibly can.
Gotcha. So I know that you didn't want to kind of go there, but the voice devices out there, they're not as consistent as the searches that we're talking about, the AI. At this
Depends
point
on which one you're talking about. If you're talking about any of the Google products like Bixby, or Google Assistant, it's smarter than, say, Alexa. Siri is smarter than Alexa in a lot of ways.
So Siri, have you noticed that when you're starting to use Siri, it's asking if you'd like to use Chat GPT?
If you're on the newer devices that accept it, yes.
Okay, so
I've seen that for probably the last 8 months because I'm on the beta program for Apple. They have some new stuff coming.
I've only seen it the last couple months where I'm starting to see that. So you've experienced it a little longer, and quit throwing the beta program that you're allowed to do. You get to see all these fun things before the rest of the world gets to.
I also get to break my phone a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it got all confused the other day, and I couldn't surf the web, and I had to wait for her to put out a new update. But it was one of those things to I had to come up with a workaround for it, and I put a bug report in for it. But it's one of those things to where you have to understand that people are not just searching for you inside of Google. A lot of these agencies, even people that we bring into the Simply Be Found huddle, talk all the time about, well, Google. Yes, it's a big brand, but I mean, I've seen reports that show that Google's only 18.5% of the search out there right now.
Right, and we're talking just
someone physically to Google searching for it.
Right, exactly.
Not talking about voice search, not talking about YouTube, not talking about anything else, just typing into a search engine.
Right, and that's part of that whole thing of Google is dead as we know it.
It is.
I mean, a year ago they were probably 60% of the searches.
I think they were closer to 70.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
I mean, they were a dominant part. People want to be able to see videos. People are looking for things differently. COVID changed a lot. AI's changed even more. People now want to have an assistant go through and do some of that research, and they trust their assistant more, and it comes through, and they want to hold a conversation with it. So that's why the natural language in your website, natural language in some of that aspects are so important, because if you're not using natural language, it's hard for it to have a natural conversation with you.
Okay.
About that brand. And as a small business, it's huge for you. I mean, and you're already collecting a lot of that data. You're already doing bids. You're already doing quotes. You already have some of that data, and you can take it and you can write a blog really super fast off that data to be able to get yourself to be able to rank higher.
No, that's such a good point, because you business owners are busy enough. You don't have time to go and do all these things. That's why you can make all the things happen, and you can cascade it down and get everything covered in less time.
I mean, if you didn't want to do a video and you don't want to do that side, use an AI assistant, use the voice piece, talk to it, tell it what you just did a bid on, or you did a quote on, or a product you just sold, or a problem you just solved for somebody, because chances are somebody else has that same problem, and they would love to be able to hear what you have to offer there.
So, no, I think it's been good, Rob. Is there anything else?
This is kind of a good one. It's kind of random all over the place. It didn't make sense to have a huddle for this one, but it's a question we get asked to how to check for rankings. I think rankings are a very important factor for how businesses are being found out there, but it changes for everybody. So the more you search for yourself, the more you go through and do it. You got to remember, it's more than Google. It's where to find that information and what you're going to see. So when you join up and you're doing the listings engine, where you're going to see those results is you're going to see your website natively get pushed up further if you're following the blueprint. So you're going to rank higher for your website. You should start seeing yourself inside of all the different questions and being able to get answers. You should see yourself inside of the Bing places, the Google assistants. You should see yourself inside of the voice search pieces. It's getting everything connected, because what I think a lot of businesses are missing is they're missing the hub that connects everything and helps connect all the dots. Because if you don't connect those dots from a data aspect, and at some point, maybe I'll bring on one of our data scientist guys that go through this a lot more detailed. But I mean, it probably confuse the living hell out of everybody. But I mean, everything is connected. Then think about it like a big picture, and it's a connected dot. So everything is connected at some point, and everything touches everything. So you have to make sure they're all connecting. The listings engine and our social media suite just make it a lot simpler to connect those dots and to be able to make that information flow in a better way.
All right. Well, thanks for that. That's just a great way to end this thing up, I think.
I think it is. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any questions whatsoever, Dean and I handle 100% of the chat inside of simplybefound.com. Come chat with us today. We'd love to chat with you and be able to answer any questions that you possibly have and be able to help you be able to figure out where you kind of rank at. And here's kind of an insider tip that I want to share as one last piece. If you are a member of Simply Be Found, we do track some stuff. We have a beta program coming out for how we're looking at your website and tracking how your website is ranking. If you want to know what that beta program shows and shows where you're ranking at currently and what we show for it, all you have to do is ask, and we'll share that report with you.
I didn't know you were going to let people know about that, but okay.
we have that currently in beta, and then we have a program that we're only selecting certain people on to be able to upgrade, where we're not just doing basic Google Business Profile optimizations, and where we'll do a full optimization to your Google Business Profile, which is stacking a ton of questions and answers, getting all your updates scheduled, and getting your business to be able to rank higher inside of your Google Business Profile. That is not included in our services. That is an add-on inside of our services. If you just have the listings engine, you just get access to the basic program.
Right. So if people want to see that, they just have to ask about it.
They have to ask, because we're not advertising it right now. It's kind of like our website design. We have an awesome web design site program, but we only take so many. So you have to ask if we have any openings for it.
The secret's out, guys.
The secret's out if you watch the whole video. Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day. If you have not subscribed, and wherever you're watching this on, I think this is going out to social media and also to YouTube. So if you have not liked and you have not subscribed, make sure you do so. And we would love to be able to get you into being able to help your business grow. If you're looking to be able to talk about your business, think about coming over and joining us on the Simply Be Found huddle. Dean and I do a daily podcast. We'd love to have you as a guest on there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.
Have a good day.